Eve Home, the HomeKit exclusive smart home accessory maker, has been on a roll recently, updating its existing product line with Thread support. The company has been releasing updates to existing products, but also released a new product called the Eve Weather, and you can check out the review coming in now. Now it's the time for the Eve Energy, which gets Thread support, but also continues with the Eve Energy monitoring, and it's available in the EU at the moment and will be arriving in the US and UK market shortly. While this is a review of the UK version of the Eve Energy, this review also is valid for the US and EU versions, as other than the design and the plugged sockets it supports, the features are pretty much the same. So continue watching this video to find out whether the Eve Energy with Thread support is the right smart plug for you. Now, before we get started, if you're new to this channel and you're into HomeKit, this channel is dedicated to everything to do with HomeKit. We cover news, reviews, and tutorials. So if you like what you see and you want to subscribe to the channel, then also don't forget to hit the bell button, as it'd be greatly appreciated, but you'll also be notified when new videos come out and you'll be able to see them straight away. Also, if you want to follow us on our social channels at Follow HomeKit, where we're constantly putting out HomeKit information, keeping you up to date with the latest developments. And also, if you're thinking about buying one of these, the links are in the description below, which help this channel out at no extra cost to you. So starting with the design. As already mentioned, the Eve design is pretty much identical to the previous generation. The smart switch is relatively large and comes in a gloss white finish that does feel premium and solid to the touch. On the back of the Eve Energy is where you'll find the standard UK prong configuration. Obviously with the US and EU versions, you'll find the relevant configuration. On the top, you have a button that will turn the device on and off, and this will also glow red or green depending on the current state of the smart plug. As with the previous generation and Eve products in general, the design of the Eve Energy feels premium, robust and solid. I like the way they design the products, and some people might not like it. It is on the large side, but it's pretty comparable with other smart plugs on the market. Now moving on to setup. To set up the Eve Energy, you first need to download the Eve app from the iOS App Store. Then you plug in the Eve Energy into a wall socket, wait for the power indicator light to go green, and then navigate to settings within the Eve app and then add accessory. This will then bring up the HomeKit accessory steps, as if you're a HomeKit user, you'll be familiar with these, which involves scanning the HomeKit code on the side of the device and then following the rest of the setup process. Setup, as with all Eve smart devices, is straightforward, easy to do. I also like that Eve has integrated with the popular HomePass app that you can back up your HomeKit accessories and codes, so if you ever need to reinstall things, then they're available. Particularly if you're using an Apple Watch, if you're going around your house reinstalling accessories, you can just scan the code from the Apple Watch. Now moving on to day-to-day use, using the Eve app and the Home app. The Eve Energy can be controlled from Eve's own app, the Home app, or a button on top of the device. But it's the Eve app, in my opinion, where you get the most out of this device, as this is because most of the features sit within Eve's own app. The Eve app is pretty well laid out, and at its simplest level, you can turn the smart plug on and off. Now, I did find that I wouldn't be doing it this way. I would either use Siri voice commands, or I would tend to use it in automations or scenes. But tapping on the accessory, this will give you a detailed view you can get from options like power on and off, schedules, energy monitoring. So let's dig a little deeper into the more advanced options like scheduling and Eve energy monitoring. So first of all, you've got the schedule tab. You can turn this on and off, but unless you've got a schedule that you've already selected, then this is no particular use. You can have schedules which cover the entire week or certain points, and you also can do it so it's against a time or sunrise or sunset, and this is to turn the device on and off. And this works independent as whether you are using HomeKit or any of the automations or any internet connections in place. This all runs right on the device. Then you have consumption. So that is the consumption at that particular time and how much the device is using. And as you can see, when you turn the device on, it starts to give you a readout of what you're using on that particular device. Then you've also got projected costs for the year. Now, this can be based on various different scenarios. So you could have based on the week's usage, based on that day's usage, or based on that minute's usage. Now, I tend to use the week's usage to give me an indication of how much this device is going to cost me that's plugged in. You've then got your total consumption, and with this one, you can then pull up graph by hour, by week, and by month. And you also can deep dive into the measurements to see all the different measurements, and you also can export these. Then you've also got total costs, which are the total cost since this device was used. And you've also got whether it's in use and the voltage. All of these things can be reset as well. So you can reset this particular smart plug. So if you are swapping it over to something else, then you get a true and accurate reading. And now the one thing I like about Eve products is the data privacy. The Eve Energy can store up to 3 weeks of data. So this gives you ample time to download onto the device, which is all encrypted and stored within your iOS device. Nothing is synced with the cloud or synced on external servers or anywhere else. Everything sits right on your device. You don't need to set up any user accounts or give any personal details. So everything's stored locally, and it just means that all your data is private. Now, connectivity is either by Bluetooth or it's via Thread. And I've mentioned in previous reviews of Eve devices, I've been using Bluetooth connected Eve devices for some time now, for several years. And inside my home, I've not come across issues with range or response. Now, it's not me saying that these issues don't exist with Bluetooth devices. It's just that I've never come across them. But this depends on several factors like placement of the device, which includes distance from a HomeKit hub or a Bluetooth receiver, walls in your home, and other wireless signals that are around. Now, I have had issues with devices that are Bluetooth outside of the home, and I've talked about that in a previous video. But with the introduction of Thread to HomeKit, which promises to deliver improved range, performance, and battery life, and all those other things when used with a HomePod Mini, then things are supposed to improve. But let me explain the difference between devices that make up a Thread wireless network. First, you have devices that can act as a border router. Currently, only the HomePod Mini can do this in HomeKit. This device bridges your Thread network and your home network, and you need at least one border router to take advantage of the Thread capabilities of the Eve Energy. The second type is a Thread router, which can pass information to other Thread devices, and this can also expand your Thread network. And the Eve Energy can act as a border router, as it's a device that is constantly powered on by your mains electricity supply. Now, the last type is Thread endpoints, which can be connected to your Thread network, but cannot expand the mesh further. So using a HomePod Mini with the Eve Energy, you can take advantage of Thread, which means if you have previously struggled with Bluetooth only version, then the latest generation with Thread support could help with that. But that's not the only benefit, because the Eve Energy can play a role as a Thread router in your network, which means that Eve Energy will help expand your Thread network, meaning if you have devices such as the Eve Weather or the Eve Aqua outside your home that may struggle with connectivity, then placing the Eve Energy in your home with either of these devices or any other device that's an endpoint could help with range. During my testing, I found having the Eve Energy in my home, being able to use devices such as the Eve Weather or Aqua at far greater distances within my garden. I was able to place the Eve Energy in my garage, which is outside my home and normally struggles with Bluetooth range. And I didn't find any issues with connectivity or no response. Now, moving on to HomeKit. HomeKit support with the Eve Energy is seamless, meaning you can control devices with the Home app that ships with iOS devices. You also can use Siri. Within the Home app, you can control the Eve Energy via the tile to turn it off and on. You can also jump into the settings and assign icons to match your plug type. But you can take this a step further, and if it's attached to a light or fan, you can assign the device type. This then changes the appearance of within the Home app, and it gives you more options. Using the Eve Energy with HomeKit means you can include the smart switch in scenes and automations, and this is where you really get the most out of these types of devices. So for example, I had the Eve Energy connected to my coffee machine, so then at night, I included it in a good night scene and it would turn the coffee machine off. And this was to help reduce energy consumption. I've also used the previous Eve Energy with devices like my TV to turn it off again to save energy, and I found this worked really well. Eve Energy can also be used in automations that can be triggered with another HomeKit device. I tested this with a Philips Hue motion sensor and a lamp plugged into the Eve Energy, and the response was very fast. I've also recently connected it to an IKEA air purifier, and what I did here is I connected it to the air purifier, I used the Eve Room to trigger this device. So when the air quality dropped below a certain level, which was poor, it turned on the Eve Energy, which then turned on the air purifier. And then when it returned to excellent, it then turned off the air purifier. So this is an example of how you could use the Eve Energy to make a dumb device smart. You can also use the Eve Energy with, say, a Philips Hue dimmer. So if you've got this plugged into a light source and you wanted to create a ability to be able to turn the Eve Energy off using the Eve dimmer, you can do that. So you can use it with a variety of different HomeKit accessories and other devices to be able to create the perfect combination for you. Finally, one of the other things I like is the Eve Energy does not need an additional hub to use this device with HomeKit. However, to control your Eve Energy outside of your home, you do need a device like the HomePod or Apple TV. But if you're using a HomePod Mini with Thread support, then you don't have to worry about that. So moving on to the review verdict. Eve has produced a smart plug that is well designed and easy to set up, and that feels premium. Whilst you can use the Home app on your iOS device, you get more out of the Eve Energy with Eve's own app, which allows you to control things and also see power consumption and various different other things that you would not normally see with other smart plugs for the appliance that's plugged in. You can automate schedules independent of HomeKit and all locally on the device itself. The other benefit with this smart plug is Thread wireless capability. But not only that, it can also act as a border router. So if you have a Thread endpoint device that's outside of normal range or may have struggled with Bluetooth in the past, then this could help and give you some good options. Now, should you buy the Eve Energy? Well, I've been using the Eve Energy to complete this review for a number of weeks now, and the smart plug has performed excellent. Although comparing it to something like, say, the Miros smart plug, it is on the expensive side and almost double the price. But it would be unfair for me to compare the two products. The reason being, and I'm sure Miros would agree with this, the Miros smart plug is more of on the budget range, whereas the Eve is more of a premium product with a lot of premium features such as Eve Energy and Thread support. But let me be clear, this is not me saying that one is better than the other based on price or cheapness or features. I think when you're picking any product, you have to look at your individual circumstances, what you're going to be using it for, what you want to get out of it, and then compare that to the price you're going to pay. If you don't need energy monitoring and Thread support, then a cheaper alternative is possibly the right option for you. But if you do need these features, then you're pretty much limited to the Eve Energy, but you do get a good device. But the bottom line, the Eve Energy is a solid, well-made product with energy monitoring backed up by the popular Eve app. So if you're concerned about power-hungry electrical devices, then this could be an option for your HomeKit setup. So that's a wrap on this review, and hopefully you found it useful. And if you have, then I'd appreciate it if you give me a thumbs up. And also, if you're new to this channel and you're into HomeKit or you're thinking of getting into HomeKit, then don't forget to hit the subscribe button, also the bell button, as it'd be greatly appreciated. You'll also get notified when other videos are coming out. Also, if you want to follow us on our social channels at Follow HomeKit, the links are in the description below, where we're constantly putting out HomeKit information and the relevant news, reviews and tutorials. Thank you very much. I'll speak to you soon.